Good afternoon, guys. MWUSA Season 3, Episode 28. And it is Sunday afternoon. As you know, tomorrow, big work day. Not going to be able to travel much. So here we are, Sunday. And I can't say I'm not tired still, but we have to do what we have to do. Last week, good week. 5-figure payouts. Let's see, yesterday and part of today, painted one of the bedrooms in the house. It's a big room, and just got finished. The room is about 22 feet by 12 feet. So big room, 12-foot ceilings, and got that all painted. And I had to do it with the furniture in the room, so it was a little difficult, but I got it done. So I'm a little tired, a little sore, but I'm ready to go. Today's plan, hit a bunch of slot casinos, go play some blackjack. Still going to try to stretch things a little bit more at this place, even though I shouldn't, and try to get some decent payouts today. I expect a lot of tiny payouts, and I expect to hopefully have a big payout at the blackjack today. So I would love to make $1,500 to $2,000 today, but we'll see what's in the cards, so to speak. So right now it is a nice day, 52 degrees, mostly sunny skies, dry roads, and I'm ready to go. So getting on the road right now, and I'll be back to update you shortly. Alright guys, I am back. Oh, that wasn't very much fun though. I didn't find much at all. I walk in, it's very busy, there's a drawing going on, everybody's sitting around waiting, they're sitting at machines, hardly playing anything, waiting for the drawing to happen. There's a drawing now, and there's another drawing in another hour, and everybody was just sitting around waiting. So I walk in, look around a little bit, I find one play, I make like, whatever, 60, 80, whatever on it. Walk around, look at some other stuff, don't really see anything, run into a guy who's a friend of mine, talk to him for a few minutes, and he's like, guess how much I'm in at this machine? I said, $600. He said, how did you know? I said, because it pays 86% and you've been here for an hour and a half since you texted me, and I figured you're probably in around $600 the way you play. He's like, that's exactly right. I said, I don't know why you're playing this stupid machine. You got to get up. No, I'm going to win. He goes, all right, I'll even play it the way you play it. Oh, really? I didn't even know I played that machine. But what he meant was, I like to spin the reels fast because the random number generator already determined what you were going to win. So what's the point of pushing it and waiting, other than you want the agony or the fun of waiting around to see how much money you lose? So he starts pushing it fast and nothing happens, and he's like, see, that doesn't work either. I'm like, that's not even what I'm talking about. He didn't really understand. He said, here, you sit down and you play it. I said, okay, I'll play it for a minute, but I got to get going. I sit down, 2 minutes, I hit the stupid bonus he was trying to chase. He had $600 in this machine. How much did his bonus pay? $48. $48. And he's like, well, you got to activate your entries and this and that. And I'm like, brother, I'm just not into this stuff. I'll activate it for this one because I'm going to be here anyway. And somebody won it. And so then he wanted to wait another hour. And I said, well, I'm just going to grab my food from last week since I didn't get it yet. And I'm going to leave. He said, what are you going to get? I said, I always get the same thing. I get water, then I have water, these large waters to carry me through the week, and I can have something in the car. He goes, why don't you go get me some chicken strips? I'm like, what are you, my boyfriend now? I'm going to get you food? With my money, I'm going to get you food. I'm just going to hand you food. Are we sleeping together? I don't understand. What's the deal here? So I ended up getting my waters and all that stuff, and I'm leaving. And he goes, where are you going next? And I said, going to this place. He goes, oh, I've got free play there tonight. I said, well, you're welcome to come if you want to. He's like, nah, there's another drawing coming up in an hour. I'm just going to wait for that. He said, "Can you just wait for another hour for me?" I said, "Absolutely not. I'm getting out of here." So I left there. I only was ahead $40 when I left, but I got some free waters and stuff, and I'm on my way. So just gonna sit back, relax, watch some videos, listen to some podcasts, enjoy the ride, and I'm heading off to the next spot. I'll be back to update you shortly. All right, guys, I am back. I can say that was a pretty aggravating session. 2 hours and 10 minutes. When I first walked into this casino, I saw a machine right away that was in a, let's just say, odd position. So let's pretend you have a must-hit buy, and it just reset. But it just reset to a huge level instead of where it was supposed to be. That's the best way I could explain it. So, huge meaning big as far as units, not as far as cash. So it was only 75 cents a spin. I sit down, I play that through. I expect it to take, 3 or 4 minutes. And 480 spins later, I finally finished the play. And I end up down like $43. So that was an aggravating start right away. So I move on. The next machine I see is in very good position. It's a more expensive play. It's $6 a spin, but it's a rare position for it to be in. And I counted the spins. You don't want to know all these stupid details. Hundreds of spins. I was getting less than 5% return to player on the run-up. And by the time the play was over, I was minus 1,100 on that play. So those are my first 2 plays, right? Excelente, right? Next play is another minimum play. I play that through. I end up ahead like 30 or 40. Next play, another minimum play. I end up ahead like $75. Moving around, checking things, then I see this really nice play. And I'm walking by and I see this guy, and he's got $21, and it's $6 a spin. That's weird. Today's been a lot of $6. Different machines, too. So I see it, and I see how much money he has, and I'm like, So I had to sit there to play that game. It was ready. So I stand at an angle so that they couldn't see me while I watched their money deteriorate. So when they got up, I could play. And as I stepped back one more step, I see a friend of mine. And I'm like, jeez, come on. I'm just trying to get back on my feet here, getting murdered today. So, needless to say, that was not a play. I gave it to my friend. He was there before me anyway. I move on to another play. And that one actually ends up paying pretty nicely at 2 different levels. One of the levels was, it paid out $429 and $113, so that helped me get back a little bit. And then I just nickel and dimed the casino the rest of the time. But it was a very miserable experience. All plays are hundreds of spins, spent hours in the casino, and I ended up leaving minus $510. Minus $510, so that's just beautiful. All right, no big deal. We're moving on. Minus 510, what a great way to start. And we're moving on to the next casino. We're going to be playing slots. We're going to be playing Blackjack. We're going to be doing everything. So I'm going to get myself prepared for that. Sun is down. It's cold outside again. It's in the 40s, and the temperature is still dropping. And we're moving on. I'll be back to update you shortly. All right, guys, I am back. I'm still on my way to the next casino, but when I was talking to my friend after he finished his play, he sat down at the machine I was going to sit on. He claims that he lost a little bit of money on it, but he was telling me the story. There's a game that we play that there are certain levels of the game that you just don't chase because it's kind of like a bingo, right? So you see a game, it's got must hit by jackpots, and then it has like 5 million on top, right? And the 5 million is not a must hit by, it's a random. So this guy is chasing something that he should not be chasing, and he is chasing, there's two things on here that you normally don't chase, and he's playing it at max bet. He didn't tell me how much max bet was, but I'm assuming it's probably $30. Maybe it's more. It could be more. Now that I know the whole story, maybe it was less than that. It doesn't matter. Anyway, he claims he was down 5,000 in this machine, and he hits this thing for like 20,000. And he keeps playing because he's chasing something else. He's not chasing that randomly hit. And the thing he's chasing is the thing that he's not supposed to be chasing. So he gives back the whole 20,000 that he just got, minus taxes, whatever, and lost another 5,000. Just hurts your heart, doesn't it? Just to think about what you could do with that money. But I mean, it would be one thing if he was chasing a legit thing, but chasing the top like that when it's just because you see a major on a machine or something and it's maxed out. I see so many people on YouTube saying, oh, this fire, whatever it's called, you get 6 money circles, it's up to $1,000, it's maxed out, it's gonna hit. It doesn't mean anything. It's all random number generator, and you'll even find sometimes when that is hit, the one behind it is also maxed out. So, you know, there could be 10 of them maxed out because no one has hit it in a year, for all you know. So don't fall into these lies that people tell you that they might not think they're lies, but don't fall into misinformation and lose all your money for no reason, chasing something you shouldn't be chasing at all. So if you don't understand it, leave it alone, let other people do it, or learn something about it before you play. Anyway, I thought you'd like to hear that, a little bit of warning. This guy has been increasing his game lately. He's been betting higher lately, and in the long run, you know, I don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully he figures things out. All right, right now I am closing in on my destination in the nation. Let me see here, probably 15, 17 minutes, something like that. So, gonna go in. I forgot all my chips at home. I've got piles of chips for this place, and I forgot them at home, but it's all right. We've got cash. I'm gonna go in, play, and I'll be back to update you. All right, guys, I am back. Well, it's hard for me to convey to you how long it's been since the last recording on here. It has been 7 hours. 7 hours. I go into this casino and immediately go to the Blackjack area. I sit down, buy in for $500, spreading from $50 to $1,000. Starts off pretty tame. You know, lose 500, rebuy. Then I'm up about $450. So everything's going okay. And then the big slide starts. And I'm trying to put this together here. It's been so long now. So, yeah. I was in for like $1,000. I got up to like $1,450, somewhere in there. And there was me and an Indian guy at the table. He decided to go smoke. So he's gone, and I'm getting ready to play a shoe by myself. And then these two guys come to the table, two black guys, an older man who I don't think knows the other guy, and a young man. Now, both of them are completely smashed. I mean, they're so drunk. The old man is so drunk, he doesn't even know what he's doing. He doesn't know what hand he just had. He didn't know if he won or lost it. He didn't know how long he had been there. He knew nothing. He had no clue what was going on. And he's betting $200 to $500 a hand. In comes this other guy. The older man is probably in his 70s. The other guy is probably 30, 32, somewhere in there. Doesn't make himself out like he's got a lot of money or anything, but he's got some gamble in him. He wants to gamble. And I appreciate that. He's gambling for fun. He's enjoying himself. That's fine. But he's drinking also. So he's got some kind of alcoholic beverage with a lemon and a lime in it in one hand, and a hot chocolate in the other hand. That right there should tell you something might be wrong here. You may have had too much to drink. So he sits down at the table, buys in for $600 in 20s. So that tells me he probably doesn't have a lot of cash. Now, later on, I overhear the pit talking, and I think they're talking about him, that he was in for $2,300 total for the day. But at this table, he's in for $600. First hand, he's playing like $300, and it has a side bet. And this side bet is an awful side bet that we've covered on this podcast before. And it's structured in a way it pays very little. Let's just say it pays pretty much the minimum that a side bet could pay. So he sits down, starts playing, and he doesn't want to use a player's card, and he doesn't want to use his ID. So they're limiting how much he can play per hand. Okay. So he's maxing it out, right? So he's playing the maximum, which is not very much, but he's doing everything he can to increase his bet. So he's got the max bet out there, and then he's got the side bet, which matches the size of his max bet. That's how much he's betting on the side bet. And then he's doubling down any opportunity he can. This guy goes on a streak like you would not believe. He turns $600 into $23,000 in one shoe. There were 3 of us playing. So how many hands are we getting? 40, 50 hands? Not even. He doubled a 7 against a 2 and won the hand. The whole shoe, he lost 2 hands, pushed a bunch of hands, and won the rest. This is how incredible of a run this guy was having. And I think to myself, man, what if I was on that side of the table instead of him? But you know what? It wouldn't have worked out for me, because I wouldn't have done all the stupid things that he did. And it was absolutely incredible to watch. And he walks away from the table with $23,000. Now, generally, when you're playing unrated, they give you a maximum of $500 chips. They don't want to give you 1,000. They don't want to give you 5,000, and so on. So when you go to the cashier, if you have $1,000 chips, they want to see your ID because they want to add it to your profile that you cashed out X amount of dollars, right? Understood. So he goes to cash out, and they won't give him $500 chips. And you know why? Because he's over $10,000. And they want them to check his ID. They want to ask him for his card. He's going to say, oh, I don't have a card. Excuse me. I'll explain why I'm coughing in a minute too. But he's going to say, I don't have a player's card. They're going to ask for his ID. They're going to do a currency transaction report. So I knew he had that going for him when he got up there. So he leaves the table. The old black man is still sitting there. And he will leave for like a shoe and come back and leave and come back. And he's got stacks of $100 chips, like 5,000, 6,000, maybe more, maybe a little more than 6,000 in $100 chips. And he's taking all of them with him every time he leaves and comes back. He's got like a third of the black chips on the table, and he's just taking it with him and coming back. Anyway, he goes back and forth 3 or 4 times and finally leaves for good. The Indian guy comes back, and he and I are playing. He and I are playing for over 4 hours together, maybe over 5 hours together. He's bought in for a total of $23,500 for the day, and he has about $3,000 in chips left. I mean, let's just seriously think about the circus that is this day. So He's got about 3,000. He's down about 20,000. And over the next 5 hours, he grinds his way back to even. And when he does, the shoe ends, and he kind of counts everything, and he's like, oh, I'm up $2,300. I'm like, wow. Well, it's been good playing with you. He colors up, gets all the $5,000 chips and stuff. But he doesn't get up. He stays at the table. He plays another hour, no, maybe another half hour at the table before he finally gets up. So he ends up with some kind of a profit. I don't know how much, probably like $3,000 or $4,000 profit. I get buried. So during that time, I'm losing and losing and losing. And we have the crazy shoes happening. Like, we'll have 3 or 4 shoes that are negative from start to finish. And then the next shoe will have a huge spike in the middle and go back down. And then the next shoe will have a huge spike at the end. And I'm like, they're going to tap me on the shoulder anytime. I'm spreading 1 to 20 on this table. And the pit boss keeps coming around the table. Now, I know this guy. He doesn't know my name, but he's familiar with me. And he's coming around, he's watching, and you try to make conversation with him, he will not talk back. So I'm thinking, this guy is watching, I don't know what's going to happen. I had the video setting on my camera, on my phone, ready to go, just in case something happened. At least, maybe I get a couple clicks out of it, right? Anyway, next thing you know, I'm there, at that time, I'm there for about 4 hours. I look up, and there's a police officer about 20 feet away from me, facing me. His back against the wall, and he's facing me. And I said to the dealer, I said, what's going on? He said, what do you mean? I said, are they about to kick someone out of here? And he's like, yes, they are. And I'm like, okay. I said, is it me? Because obviously it can't be me. I'm not counting cards. Why would it be me? He's like, no, it's not you. He said, you would know it if it was you. I said, okay. And so I start to pay attention a little bit, and I notice that they're at the table across from me. So we're at the end of the pit, and so the police officer, his back is against the wall, facing the entire pit. So that's why he's looking at me, because he's looking at me and the other side as well. So I'm looking over there to kind of pay attention to what's happening, and all of a sudden there's like 7 security people. And this is the place where a bunch of people recently got kicked out that we know. So I look over, and there's this lady, and I noticed her over the last hour or so joking around and stuff like that, being a little bit loud, but joking around. But she's always got 2 martinis in front of her the whole time, like 10 olives in them, just going from martini to martini. And it turns out they were ejecting her for her behavior and being too drunk. So she argues with them for probably half an hour, and these security guards are pretty laid back. They're just standing there, just, they're not being aggressive to her in any way. And the interesting thing is, she's got a, what do you call it, companion dog? What I'm talking about, one of those dogs that help take care of people. And so I think I'm allergic to this dog. So I'm coughing like crazy. She's only about 15 feet away from me. And I'm coughing and coughing. And then it would go away, and then I would start coughing again. So even after she was gone for the next hour and a half or so, I was still kind of getting over it. And kind of still getting over it right now. But just so ridiculous. So I end up involved for a total. See, I walked in here knowing that I don't want to go over 10,000, because although they have my information, I don't want to be on the record, right? So I'm involved for $9,500. I've got a $600 hand out there, and it's a double down. So I double it down, I'm in for 10-1. So I reach in my pocket, I pull out a bunch of 20s. So I have stacks of hundreds in my pocket. And then, so what I'll do is, on the outside of my pocket, I'll put the big bills. On the inside of my pocket, I'll put small bills. That way when I'm walking up to a table, I'm reaching for the right money without pulling out a wad of money, if that makes sense. When I walk up to a slot machine, I can reach for 100 or 20, depending on what the situation is, what I need, and that way there's less money being flashed around. So I reach in my pocket, I grab the small bills. I've got $250 in 20s and a 10 for some reason, which is rare for people to go to the casino to have 10s, and you know why if you do it. And so I put $250 out there, so I bought in for $97.50. So the Indian guy's like, he wants the other half of my double down. So I give it to him, and I end up winning the double down. So it's a big hand, you know, it kind of revitalizes things, and the shoe ends right there. So now I've got whatever it is, a couple $1,000s in front of me, and I'm playing with that. And let me see, what else? I wanted to mention something else about that money, but I don't know. It'll come to me later, maybe. So I'm grinding and grinding and grinding, and I'm playing it by the book, baby. I am not deviating at all from what I'm supposed to do. I'm using almost zero cover. I'm just doing whatever I have to do when I have to do it. I'm talking to the dealer. I'm talking to the Indian guy, keeping them all busy. Pit boss comes over. I'm smiling at them. Oh, here's what I wanted to mention. They didn't know how much I really bought in for, because as I was making a bit of a comeback, and I'd have like 3,000 or 4,000 in chips in front of me, I'd ask them for two $500 chips, put them in my pocket, two more, put them in my pocket. There was one point where the dealer said something they didn't hear, then the pit came over to ask her what she said, and someone else was talking to her, so the pit boss walked away. So she never recorded that 1,000 that I put in my pocket. So they thought I colored up for $1,000 less than I did. But also, I'm 100% positive, but maybe 99.9% positive, that they had me in for a couple thousand less than what I really bought in for, if that makes sense. Because 500 here, 500 there, you're playing without a player's card, what's the big deal? And this happened the other day at a casino. I said, you know, I just want to verify you have me in for 3,500. He goes, I don't know. And I said, what do you mean you don't know? He said, well, you're not playing rated, it doesn't matter anyway. So a lot of these places, when you're buying in for small amounts at a time, are going to ignore a lot of this stuff because they have bigger fish to fry. You're in a high limit room, whatever, and they don't think you're going over 10,000 because you're buying in for 500 on a $50 or $100 table, right? So there's no way. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's buying in for 5 bets, you know. So anyway, I started building it up. I get to 5,000, back down to 1,500. I get it to 4,000, back down to 1,500. Then I level off at 3,000 for hours. It seems like it wasn't hours, but for a long time, many shoes. And then the Indian guy wants to go smoke. I said, no problem, go smoke. He said, you can keep playing the table, but he said it in an Indian accent. Anyway, I said, okay, so I play a shoe, and I actually won like 1,500 that shoe. And he comes back to the table 2 hands into the next shoe. Well, it's no mid-shoe entry. And although he's the top tier, everybody knows him, all that stuff, they won't let him in. Well, I got a situation happening here. The new shoe, I'm up like 700 right away, but the count plummets in the teens, minus 19, minus 18. What am I going to do? All the tables are full. This guy is there. I said, hey, I'm really sorry I started the shoe without you. Why don't we just start a new shoe? She said, that's very kind of you. You don't have to. I said, no, I prefer playing with you. And I said, I'm just going to run to the bathroom real quick. If you want to go ahead and get the next shoe started. Just give me 1 minute, I'll be right back, right? At this point, I haven't peed in about 12 hours, excuse me, and I haven't had anything to drink, nothing. Go to the bathroom, wash my hands, of course, unlike most people. Come back out, and he's not there. I'm like, where'd the guy go? He's over there at the double deck. What the heck's he doing at the double deck? We're playing this shoe here. Let's go. No, they said, because you are not playing on the record, you cannot have a new shoe. I said, what if I just get up and leave? They said, you can get up and leave, but you can't play for the next shoe when you come back. I said, you know, I wasn't very happy. So I ended up just flat betting the rest of the shoe. And I actually ended up either up or down $50. I think down $50 for the shoe, which is good because it stayed negative the whole time. So anyway, the guy comes back. We're playing, you know, next to each other and stuff, and things start getting better for both of us. And he gets, like I said, back to about even. And I'm thinking he's going to leave. At this point, I'm down about $3,000, but I'm feeling a lot more comfortable. I've got, you know, thousands of dollars in chips in my pocket. At one point, they refused to give me $500 chips. They wanted to give me $1,000 chips. I'm like, that's the least of my problems. I'm not going to make a big deal out of this. I'll deal with it later. You know, I could always buy in for one of those if I get low. So he ends up finally leaving, and I'm down about a couple thousand, let's say 2,000 to 3,000, and I make my way back to down only $1,100. I'm so excited. I'm right there. The count is good. I'm raising my bets. I get buried. By the end of the shoe, I'm down 4,000 again. I'm like, I really cannot believe the way this day is going. Not only are they not cutting me off, maybe they will next time I come in. I have no idea. They're not cutting me off. I can't get my money back. These shoes are going crazy, nuts up and down. We've seen the oddest hands. I'm splitting the 4, doubling all 4, losing them all. You know, other times I'm splitting, resplitting, winning, losing, all this insane hands. I mean, if this session was shorter, I could explain it to you a little bit better, but so many hands happened. I'm sure I'll remember them tomorrow, but anyway, the dealer gets tapped out, a new dealer comes in. This dealer was on the other table where the drunk lady was. He'd been standing by himself for a while. People were starting to go home. They moved him over to my table. I get within $350 of even. And then I go down, and I'm down, let me just add this up in my, $37.50. So I'm like, eventually I gotta either leave or do something here. But I had a couple of shoes that were like false positives, let's call them. The counts were good. I started having a run up and then got fizzled out at the end, and I lost a bunch of money. And finally I had a good shoe. I got to one hand away 3 or 4 times, and then I finally got a hand that put me over. I actually had a blackjack on the hand. It put me over, and not just over, but it was a big hand, and it was the end of the shoe. It was a high count. It was a blackjack, and I was so excited to finally be done. And on that last hand, I actually bet a side bet for me and the dealer, and I actually said, if we hit the side bet, because look, I mean, I've been playing there I was at the table for 6 hours and 45 minutes, right? I have not tipped a penny. So I put $25 on a side bet, and I told the dealer, if we hit the side bet, we're going to split it. I have no idea the side bet. I know the side bet. It's not a good side bet, but I was looking for cover. I played the side bet on my last hand, and I win $250 on it. So I did. I actually gave the dealer $125, and I colored up, and I left. I bought in for a total of $9,700. $750, and I ended up leaving plus, can you freaking imagine? I'm ahead after all that. $462.50. I've got over $10,000 in chips. You can't cash out more than, let's say, $2,900, $3,000 is when they're going to ask you for ID. So cash out whatever it was, $2,760 whatever dollars and 50 cents. And I start walking around. But wait, there's more. I've been there for all this time, and I still went around and checked the slot machines on the way out and didn't find anything. And I'm halfway out the door, and I think to myself, I wonder if the poker room is open. So I go over to the poker room, and wouldn't you believe it, the poker room is open. There are 2 tables open. I'm like, but there's no way. There's no way the cashier is open. I mean, it's 4 o'clock in the morning at this point. The cashier was open. I cashed out $1,500. I know they're limited over there what they can do. Cashed out $1,500, and I'm taking home $6,000 more in chips. And I have a pile of chips at home, so it's going to take me forever to cash these chips out. But it was an amazing, amazing night. I think between this and the other 2 casinos, for the night, I'm ahead $2.50. $2.50. So we're going to see what happens. Right now, if I go straight home, it's going to be like an hour before work. So I'm going to have to go straight to work. I have a meeting with the director today. But why would I go straight home? There's a casino on the way home. There's 2, but I'm not going to go to the other one. I'm going to go ahead and go back to this casino, and with it being this time of day, I'm hoping none of the slot guys are in there checking them yet, and I can make something happen, and we'll see what happens. So sorry for the long story. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back to update you shortly. All right, guys, I am back. So I think I was actually down $7.50, but that doesn't really matter. I go into this place, and it looks like not much has happened since the last people were here checking machines. I did find one play. I played that through. It took a couple of minutes, and I ended up ahead $60. The place was pretty deserted. I did hit this place. This was the second place I went to today. So I hit it on my way to the casino where I played Blackjack. And I think I noticed that a lot of the same cars were still in the parking lot, which is insane. Playing slots for that long and not being an advantage player. Can you imagine how much money you would lose doing that? Right now, I am pulling into a McDonald's to get some breakfast. I'm going to get that. I got a large iced coffee for $1. I got some nice breakfast, and I'll be back to update you. All right, guys, I am back. So, ate my food, and I'm continuing on my trip home. Right now, it is 5:30 a.m., and I've got about an hour and a half to go on my trip home, and gonna see what we can do here. Probably gonna have to just take a shower and go right to work. I don't think I'm gonna have a chance to sleep. Tomorrow is Monday. I was not supposed to do any advantage play tomorrow. I am, however, going to try to get 1 or 2 sessions in. If so, I will put them in the next episode, which will probably carry over into Tuesday as well. I'll have more for you next time. If you have any questions or comments, it's mwusa21@gmail.com, mwusa21@gmail.com. See you next time.